Welcome back. If you watched episode 1, we talked about why your staff keeps coming to you for every question and why that has nothing to do with capability and everything to do with structure. Today, we're going to dive a little bit deeper because before you can rebuild your practice with intention, you need to understand the root causes of the chaos you're currently experiencing. And so, in this episode, I'm breaking down the 3 biggest reasons clinicians get overwhelmed and how we accidentally contribute to them without realizing it. So, root cause number 1, your practice is operating on assumptions, not expectations. Most clinicians lead with good intentions, not clarity. So, for me, when I started my practice, I had already been working for another behavioral optometrist at the time, and I had started a vision therapy practice inside of a commercial location too. And when I was working with the other behavioral optometrist, she knew everything there was to know about vision therapy. And when it came to how her team was trained and how things were run and everything like that, I was like, if it were me, I would do it differently. And when I was doing it at the commercial location, I saw what it was like to, train a team and have staff and need to kind of get everything moving together. And it was actually really successful. And so then I was like, oh, I can do this. That's what we all think, right? Like, oh, I can do this. This is so easy and I would do it so much better. So then I started my own practice. And even from like the building going up was like, oh my goodness, how many square feet do I need? Will the bathroom fit here? Do I need a sink in every exam lane and all of the things that, yes, the consultants are there for, but you also are needing to make these decisions at the end of the day. Then when it comes to, really the vision behind the practice, like I really wanted my patients to feel like members. So that's why we went with 4D Vision Gym. I didn't want them to feel like patients. I didn't want them to feel like something was wrong with them. I wanted them to know that they're great and this is just going to make them even greater. And so this was just about making them even better, stronger, being able to have more skills, more tools in their toolbox. So that's what the whole gym mentality was about. And that's how we figured everything out around every aspect of the practice. And so in my mind, everybody on my team understood that as well. So they must know how I want communication handled, and they must know when it's a problem that's big enough to involve me, and they must know what decisions they can make on their own and which decisions they need to, run by me first. And they must know what I mean when I say, just keep me posted. And that means sometimes tell me exactly what happened so I know what's going on. Sometimes it means, oh, whatever happened with that. And sometimes it means if there's a problem, let me know. If there's not a problem, I really don't need to be involved. So because I assumed that they knew all these things, a lot of things fell through the cracks because we can't lead our practices on assumptions because that creates inconsistency. And so there were some team members who understood how I liked things, just, I don't know, by osmosis or something, and they handled things properly most of the time. And then there were other people who did not understand how I wanted things and they handled things improperly most of the time. And then at the end of the day, what your patient's experience is this practice is a whole hot mess. And that's obviously not what we want. And it was my fault. We didn't have the systems. I didn't sit down and write down my thought process. And if this situation arises, what are the steps that need to happen in order to resolve it? I didn't do any of those things because I just assumed that everyone knew. And that's what a lot of us do because so many times we're starting with like 1 or 2 other people who are kind of like in the trenches with us and they see how we handle things. And we really think that they know what we want. And they really want to know what we want. And at the end of the day, a lot of times we don't even really know what we want. And things are so situational. So it's like, oh, for this patient, this. And you can run your practice that way. And sometimes we need to make exceptions. But when everything can be a potential exception, then you need to be involved in every single decision. So if there are rules and they're written down and there's processes and it's written down, there's a structure and it's written down, then we're not coming to you for every single question because we don't know if we know that your answer is not going to change. Confusion creates dependency because now they need you because they don't want to do something wrong. They want to do what it is that you want. And that means that you need to know what it is that you want. And that can't change moment to moment. And so part of leading our practices means that we are taking time out of our schedule to document everything that we want. And if that changes, we fix it. We re-edit that document. I didn't even know what an SOP was until I was a business owner. And for those of you who might still not know what it is, it's a standard operating procedure. So it's you take down every single step that is required to do something in your practice. That is followed step by step by step by step. And then you review it to make sure that things don't change. So if you change, your email provider, then now that document needs to be changed. If you change who your EMR system is, absolutely horrible experience, but we got to do what we got to do, then that whole system needs to be changed. How they enter a patient now is not going to be the same way that it was for the other practice management software. And so all of those things are breathing documents, but you need to be breathing the life into them. You need to be making sure that they're done the way that you want them to be done, so that if some new person joins your team because somebody left or because your team is expanding, then they have a full-on guidebook on how to do things in your practice. They feel supported, and then your practice feels supported. And by your practice feels supported, your patients can feel that. Your patients can feel when there's chaos, and they can feel when there's like a lot of inconsistency going around. And when you're the bottleneck, all of those things exist: chaos and inconsistency. So, root cause number 2, you built your systems around yourself and not your team. Now, when we started our practices, a lot of times we had to do everything. I understand. What is that saying? It's like chief dog walker and bottle washer or something like that. Like, yeah, we were the ones. Like, we were the ones because all of these situations were new to us. And we're like, okay, well, this is what we need to do. And then that same exact situation happens again, but we forgot what we did last time. So it's like, oh, this is what we're going to do this time. So then everything is different all the time. And that's okay when it's just you and your practice. And that's okay when it's like you and like one other person. That's not okay when you're building, your legacy. It's not okay when you're building this engine that's going to allow you to transform the lives that we came into this profession to accomplish. We all came in here because we have these bleeding hearts and we want to help everybody, and we know that we are able to. But you're not able to help everybody if you are the ceiling of your practice. So this is the hardest truth for clinicians to hear, but also the most liberating. Your practice functions exactly the way it was unconsciously designed. And most practices were designed around the owner doing everything. And then we hire people to do what we can't do anymore because we're so overwhelmed. And then we're more overwhelmed and we hire somebody else. And then it becomes delegation by abdication. So it's like, oh, you want to do this? Go ahead, do it. Or you don't want to do it, but I paid you to do it. So go ahead and do it. And then we have no idea what's happening anymore until there's a problem. That's not what we need. In the early days, that's how it functioned. Now, that's not where we are in our practices. Before you knew every patient, you handled every patient conversation. You were probably answering emails. You were fielding all of the questions, and you caught every ball that was dropping. And now we're building a practice that we need to have balls not drop. And we can't just say to our team, oh, you dropped a ball again, you dropped a ball again, you dropped a ball again. Like, at some point, you need to realize that it's your structure that dropped the ball. Like, your structure was designed to drop balls because your structure was designed that you caught all of the balls. And unless you're going to be the designated ball catcher, then you need to develop a structure that allows balls to not drop. And that takes time. We need to take time out of the practice to develop these structures. And a lot of times it's like, oh, but I don't have time. I need to be seeing this many patients. And, my wait list is this long and all of these things. And all you're doing is being the ceiling to your practice and making it so that things are going to start to crumble underneath you. And this is going to become a job that you hate, which is what we don't want. Because then now we've created a habit for our team to not really know what's supposed to be happening, and for them to kind of be like, oh, she'll pick up that ball or something like that, where now you have the opportunity to develop that structure so that that's not happening at all. And sometimes, yes, we need time. We need more time. Have fantasies about what I would do on the 8th day of the week. There's a lot of things that I would do on the 8th day of the week. But until we develop that 8th day of the week, we need to figure out how to structure our practices so that we do have more time and we have time to set aside to lead and become the CEO that our team is looking for and that our patients are looking for us to be. So that goes into root cause number 3. You are still filling roles that you've outgrown and your practice knows it. We can't be the person who is doing all of the things. We can't be the scheduler. We can't be the problem solver. We can't be the messenger. We can't be the exception maker, the decision factory. We need to be the leader. And that's it. We need to be the leader. We need to have structure. We need to have rules. We need to have boundaries. And we need to make sure that our team feels supported in exercising those boundaries and practicing those rules, because if there's always a time that somebody can come to you for an exception, then your team looks stupid. So it's like if somebody can just go above their head and things just change, then now your team looks inadequate, and that's not fair to them. So then in the future, that were to happen to me, then next time I'm going to ask you first, and the next time, and the next time, and the next time, and the next time, and now we have these issues. So let's not have these issues in the first place, because we can't be functioning for the practice that we built that had 1 or 2 people working there. We need to move out of survival mode and really be in growth mode. And the only way to do that is to be a leader. And the only way to do that is to have the structure. So a little bit of homework. I like homework. And so a little bit of homework for you this week. Really look to see how many questions come to you that you think someone else could have answered in your practice. And you can do it for a day, you can do it for 2 days, you can do it for the whole week, but really write those questions down. Figure out, why are these questions coming to me? And then you can start to write out the SLPs to answer those questions going forward. Because if there's a structure to how you think about an issue, then you should write that down. And now that's the structure for how your team now handles that issue. So now your practice is actually becoming the practice that you set out to have, the practice that you want to have now. Maybe if it's not the practice you set out to have, it's becoming the practice that you envision now, the practice that will take you into the future, and the practice that will codify your legacy. So with that, if this was helpful for you, please like and subscribe. Please share it with a friend, and I will see you next week. Let's get building.